My name is Ashley Anderson. I'm 29 years old, and until very recently, I thought I was months away from marrying the love of my life. If you'd asked me just a few weeks ago, I would have told you I was lucky blessed even to have found someone as charming, attentive, and perfect as my boyfriend James. Here's how my story begins. My friends tried to warn me. Ashley, he's playing you. He's not who you think he is. He loves what you do for him, not you. But I didn't listen. Love makes you deaf in the most convenient ways. James and I had been together for 3 years. We were building a life, or at least I thought we were. The proposal came 8 months ago, a dream moment, an $8,500 ring he bragged about, showing off to his friends, and 1,000 promises whispered into my hair as he held me under the fairy lights he strung across the porch. I thought I'd found forever. He said yes to me with tears in his eyes. Real tears, I thought. Looking back, maybe he was just crying at how easy I was making his life. The wedding was scheduled for next month. Venue booked, deposits paid, invitations sent. I'd put down $15,000 on the venue alone, non-refundable, but I didn't care. I believed in us, believed in him, believed in everything we were building. He didn't contribute a single dollar, but he always had an excuse. My student loans are killing me. I'm saving for our honeymoon. I'll take care of things after the wedding, babe. And I believed him. Because trusting your partner is supposed to be the foundation of a relationship, right? My best friend Lila wasn't subtle. Ash, check his phone. Something is off. No, I told her. That's an invasion of privacy. I trust him. The irony stings now. 3 weeks ago, there was a break-in 2 streets over, so I installed security cameras around the house, front door, back door, living room, driveway. A decent system with cloud storage motion alerts the whole package. I wasn't thinking about James at all. I was thinking about safety, about protecting the home we shared. When James came home that evening, he barely noticed the cameras. Just a shrug and, "You're cute when you're paranoid." I remember laughing. God, I wish I hadn't. Last Tuesday, while I was at work, my phone buzzed. Motion detected living room camera. 2:30 p.m. I assumed the cat knocked something over. I opened the app casually. What I saw didn't just make my blood run cold, it made my entire world tilt on its axis. James, on our couch, with someone who definitely wasn't a friend, coworker, or distant cousin he occasionally mentioned. It was his so-called cousin, the one who'd been helping him with wedding planning. The one he didn't want me to worry about, the one he insisted was basically family. They weren't planning a wedding. What they were doing is something no two cousins should ever be doing, ever. I watched for maybe 30 seconds before I closed the app. 30 seconds was all it took to rewrite the last 3 years of my life. My stomach twisted. My hands shook so badly I dropped my phone onto the office floor. I stumbled into a bathroom stall and locked myself inside, trying to breathe through the dizzying tunnel vision. Here's the thing about betrayal. It isn't the act itself that destroys you. It's the accumulation of every lie it retroactively exposes. Every book club night he claimed he didn't want to bother me with. Every late shift that now felt suspiciously timed. Every kiss goodnight that tasted like trust. Every moment he looked me in the eye and told me he loved me. He was loving someone else multiple times based on the motion history I later checked. 16 separate incidents over 3 months. 16. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a mistake. It was a relationship playing out right under my roof. As I sat in that bathroom stall staring at the cold, tiled wall, something inside me shifted. Grief didn't come first. Clarity did. A sharp, icy clarity I'd never felt before. James wanted to play games fine. I could play quietly, strategically. With numb fingers, I started making calls. First, call the wedding venue. I need to cancel my reservation for next month. The coordinator sounded sympathetic but firm. Just a reminder, the $15,000 deposit is non-refundable. I understand. Please send the cancellation receipt to my email. Second, call the caterer. Non-refundable $3,000 deposit. Canceled. Third, call photographer. $2,500 deposit. Canceled. Fourth, call DJ. $800 deposit. Canceled. By 4:30 p.m., every vendor, every reservation, every detail James thought was waiting for him was gone. Total deposits lost $22,000. Money I had paid entirely on my own. I didn't send him a text. I didn't write an explanation. Instead, I forwarded all 14 cancellation receipts to his inbox. No message, just those beautiful red words, non-refundable. At 4:47 p.m., the scream echoed through my phone. Not love, not remorse, not fear of losing me. Just pure raging panic over money he never even contributed to. That told me everything I needed to know. And it was only the beginning. By the time I pulled into the driveway after work, my phone had racked up a small mountain of missed calls and frantic messages. James wasn't subtle, he wasn't calm, and he certainly wasn't remorseful. He was pacing like a caged animal, hands flying, as if he were already mid-argument. The moment I opened my car door, he lunged toward me. "Ashley, what the hell is wrong with you?" His voice cracked with outrage, not heartbreak. "Do you even understand what you just did? $22,000 gone. Are you insane?" I stepped out, closed the door gently, and locked the car. Then I looked at him with a level, empty calm, the kind that unsettles people who expect a fight. "Check the living room camera footage from Tuesday at 2:30 p.m., I said softly. "Then we'll talk about insanity." His face drained, not metaphorically, literally. His jaw hung slack, and for a moment he couldn't speak. I don't know what?" "You know exactly what I mean," I said. "You. Your so-called cousin, on our couch." He stumbled for words, blinking rapidly like he needed a reboot. "Ash, wait, listen. It's not what you think. We were just talking and things looked weird on camera. You're misunderstanding." "I saw all 16 incidents," I replied. That number hit him like a physical blow. His lips parted, but nothing came out. "You've been spying on me," he finally hissed. "That's creepy, Ashley. You seriously need help." "The cameras are for security," I said. "You watched me install them. You joked about them." He opened and closed his fists, pacing in tight circles. "You can't just cancel our wedding. My whole family knows. What am I supposed to tell people?" "Tell them the truth," I said. "Tell them you got caught." He glared at me, disbelief twisting into anger. "You're being petty." I walked past him toward the house. He followed, shouting behind me, angrier each step. Inside, his voice only grew louder. "You're seriously ending everything over this. You're not even trying to fix it. Everyone slips up. Sometimes it's not that big of a deal." That made me laugh under my breath, a sound he clearly wasn't expecting. He paused, thrown off balance. "You're more upset about the money than about losing me," I said quietly. His silence was the confirmation. He left that night, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the frame. I changed the locks the next morning. It cost me $180 and zero regrets. The next morning, he reappeared in the kitchen as I brewed coffee. He had let himself in using the old key, still pretending he had a place in this home. His eyes were red, his face puffy, an expression I recognized instantly. Not grief, performance. "Ash, can we talk? Really talk?" "No," I said. "There's nothing left to talk about." He stepped closer, adopting the soft tone he always used when he wanted something. "It was a mistake, a dumb moment. It didn't mean anything. I love you." I checked the footage, I said. 16 times. His whole body froze, then hardened. "That's not a mistake," I said. "That's a relationship." He exploded instantly. No transition, no build-up. "You're a controlling psycho. Installing cameras to spy on me." "My house," I said. "My cameras, my motion alert." "You're unbelievable," he shouted. Probably edited the footage to make me look bad. I actually laughed. It infuriated him more. He stormed out again. By noon, the locksmith had the new locks installed. This time for good. That evening, the door shook under heavy pounding. When I opened it, James's mother stood there, Dolores, with her arms crossed and her expression carved from judgment. She didn't bother greeting me. "How dare you humiliate my son like this?" she snapped. "Canceling a wedding without even speaking to him. Who does that?" "Someone who discovered her boyfriend was cheating," I said, repeatedly. She waved her hand dismissively. "A little mistake. People move past these things." 16 incidents, I corrected, with the woman he called his cousin. Her jaw tightened. She knew exactly who I meant. "You need to restart the wedding plans," she said. "My son is devastated. He's under incredible stress." And I paid for everything, I replied evenly. Every deposit, every detail, every plan. "That's not the point," she said sharply. "It's exactly the point." Her face twisted with bitterness. "You'll regret this. My son could have any woman he wants. You're lucky he even proposed. Then he's free to go find someone else," I said, and closed the door. She lingered outside, yelling through the wood until her voice gave out. 2 days later, James arrived in a U-Haul with his sister Veronica, who walked toward the house carrying a small, spiral notebook like she was about to audit my existence. "We're here for his belongings," she said coolly, "and to discuss the financial imbalance caused by this breakup." "My garage," I said. "Everything of his is already boxed." She flipped open the notebook. "According to our calculations, you owe James $14,000 for emotional damages and wasted time. These were his prime dating years." I stared at her, searching for even a hint of humor. There wasn't any. "Let me get this straight," I said. "He cheats on me for months. I cancel a wedding I fully paid for, and somehow I owe him money. That's correct. No. She lifted her chin. The engagement ring will be returned when you return his suit. I bought the suit, I said. Try again. Her pen scribbled furiously. Fine. Then you'll be hearing from our lawyer. Wonderful, I said. Load his things and leave. They slammed every door of the U-Haul, dramatically muttering insults that didn't quite reach my ears. Once they were finally gone, the house felt still, like it had been holding its breath and could finally inhale again. I knew peace wouldn't last. People like James don't go quietly. But for that brief, fragile moment, I let myself stand in the quiet and feel something close to freedom. The quiet didn't last long. By Wednesday of the following week, I received a letter in my mailbox, cheap paper, a blurry logo, and the unmistakable tone of someone who thinks intimidation is a skill. It was from James's lawyer demanding the return of the engagement ring, or $8,500 in cash, reimbursement for his wedding attire, $2,000 for emotional distress, and $14,000 for wasted relationship time. Total demand $27,700. If I hadn't lived through the last few weeks, I might have thought it was satire. I took the letter to a family law attorney. My friend recommended a woman named Denise Hart, whose calm smile alone could disarm a hurricane. She skimmed the letter once, then she laughed. This is ridiculous, she said. Legally absurd. Practically even worse. She broke it down. The ring was a conditional gift. Wedding didn't happen because he cheated. I legally keep it. His suit, a gift I'd paid for. He had no claim. Emotional distress and wasted time, not a thing. Not like this. And defamation, I hadn't said a word publicly. Meanwhile, I had video evidence. She drafted a response that was professional, spine-chilling, and beautifully surgical. It cost me $400, worth every penny. Her letter went out Thursday. By Friday afternoon, the universe decided to add a new flavor of chaos to the mix. My phone rang a call from building security at my workplace. Ms. Anderson. There's a man in the lobby claiming to be your fiancé, the guard said. He's causing a scene. I closed my eyes, exhaled. He's my ex. Please ask him to leave. I watched through the security monitor as James argued with the guard, crying dramatically, gesturing wildly, demanding to see me. People were staring, whispering. He stayed for nearly 10 minutes before security escorted him out. My boss called me into his office afterward. Ashley, is everything okay? Do you need some time? I appreciated his softness. It contrasted so painfully with James's escalating chaos. I'm okay, I said. Just dealing with personal matters. He nodded. Let me go back to work. But inside, I felt like the walls of a life I'd once carefully constructed were beginning to tilt under the weight of someone else's desperation. I should have known it wouldn't stop there. Saturday morning at 9 a.m., I heard familiar voices outside my window. When I peeked through the curtain, James's parents were on my porch, both of them this time. They rang the bell nonstop, knocked, shouted. I didn't open the door. I wasn't in the mood to be told yet again how I should be grateful to have been cheated on by their precious son. We know you're in there, his father shouted. This isn't over, Ashley. You owe our son answers. I called the non-emergency police line. There are people at my door refusing to leave, I said calmly. Ex-boyfriend's parents. A patrol car arrived 20 minutes later. The officer took one look at them, one look at me, and understood everything. The father tried to argue that this was a private family matter. The officer shut him down quickly. She's asked you to leave, he said. This is her property. You're trespassing. Leave now or face a citation. They left shooting me, looks that felt more like curses than expressions. I thought maybe, just maybe, that would be the peak. But the universe said not yet. Sunday morning, 7 Huzru a.m. My doorbell camera pinged with movement. Motion detected garage. I opened the live feed. James's cousin, the woman from the footage, was outside, hunched over, trying to pry open the garage door with something metal. My stomach tightened. Not fear, anger, exhaustion. The realization that stupidity had fully transformed into criminal desperation. I dialed 911. There's a woman attempting to break into my garage, I said. I have her on camera right now. Police arrived fast. They caught her still gripping the tool mid-pry. She stammered excuses, something about retrieving her property from the garage, which apparently meant a box of yearbooks she had left at James's childhood home 10 years ago. I pressed charges. Later that afternoon, my phone rang from an unknown number. I answered and immediately regretted it. Ashley. Please, the woman sobbed. Don't do this. I didn't mean to break anything. I was just trying to help James. Please drop the charges. No, I said. You attempted to break into my home. That has consequences. You're being vindictive. He's heartbroken, and you're destroying his life. I hung up. Minutes later, James's new lawyer sent another letter this time, accusing me of breaching the wedding contract and owing James $22,000 in damages for canceling the wedding. My attorney responded 2 hours later. His infidelity voided any implied agreements. I had video evidence. His family and mistress were harassing me. Any further attempts would result in a restraining order and a request for legal fees. The silence that followed was immediate and satisfying. But the calm only lasted 5 days. By the next Wednesday, a new issue surfaced: the engagement ring. James still hadn't returned it. My lawyer sent a demand letter: return it within 10 days or be sued. The response came from James's side. He will return the ring once Ms. Anderson pays $5,000 for storage and emotional attachment. I actually laughed. My lawyer did not. She sent a scathing response threatening civil liability, potential theft charges, and immediate legal escalation. The next day, the ring was dropped off at her office. No box, no note. Just the ring tossed into a plastic sandwich bag, petty to the very end. And even then, the story wasn't finished. 6 weeks earlier, I thought I was designing a wedding. Now, I was navigating a battlefield I never volunteered for. But even wars eventually slow down, and when they do, the quiet feels strange, like hearing your heartbeat too loudly after a long, deafening storm. The first real silence came from the courthouse. James's cousin, his not-so-secret partner, pled guilty to misdemeanor trespassing. The attempted burglary charge was reduced, but the consequences were still heavy. 6 months probation and 100 hours of community service. I didn't attend the hearing, but I saw photos online. She stood beside James, and they walked out together. I stared at the picture for a long time, not out of pain, but recognition. This was who they were. When people show you their alliances, believe them. A few days later, a different kind of storm arrived. Someone called my mother. My mother, who lives several states away. My mother, who had met James twice and was polite only out of manners. My mother, who absolutely did not ask to be dragged into the debris of this breakup. She called me that night with a tight voice. I received 3 calls from a woman claiming you ruined her son's life, she said. Is this about James? I couldn't help it, I laughed. A tired, broken, incredulous laugh. Mom, he cheated, I said. I have video evidence. She exhaled slowly. In that case, I'm blocking her. And if she calls again, I'll have a few words she won't like. She did block her, but the attempted manipulation didn't stop. 2 days after that, my best friend Lila called me laughing so hard she could barely speak. You are not going to believe what just happened, she said through giggles. James's sister just messaged my boyfriend asking if we could convince you to financially support James because he's struggling. I blinked. Come again? She said, and I quote, Ashley owes it to him since she damaged his reputation and future earning potential. I covered my mouth to muffle the sound that escaped. It was somewhere between a laugh and a groan. Lila continued. I told her, no offense, but your brother destroyed his own reputation when he tried to marry a woman he was cheating on. She blocked me. I leaned back on the couch, staring at the ceiling. The entitlement wasn't just genetic, it was generational. A few days later, the engagement ring situation resolved itself in the only way it could. I sold it. The jeweler handed me $6,200, less than it was worth, but enough to feel symbolic. Half of it went toward what my friends called the dodged a bullet party. The other half paid for a solo weekend trip where I didn't have to explain myself to anyone. For the first time in months, I slept without checking my phone, without expecting a fight, without bracing myself for another ambush from someone who believed the world owed him absolution. When I got back home, I took a long look around the house, the place that had held so many lies, so many quiet, eroding moments I never saw for what they were. I repainted the living room, replaced the furniture, took down every photo that had his face in it, tossed out the couch he betrayed me on without a second thought. Each change made the place feel less like our home and more like mine again. The silence became comforting. Every day the air felt lighter. But life has a way of checking if the wound has truly closed. It happened at the grocery store. I walked into the produce aisle and froze. James was there. With her. She saw me first. Her hand tightened around his arm and she whispered something urgently. He turned, eyes widening for a split second before he straightened his posture as if trying to regain some dignity. I didn't flinch. Didn't even change my expression. I picked up my basket and walked past them without breaking stride. He opened his mouth as if to say something, but she tugged him away. Smart choice. The truth was simple. I felt nothing. No pain, no anger, just a quiet, steady certainty. I had survived the worst parts of him, and he was someone else's responsibility now. Later that night, I sat on my new couch, lights low, sipping tea, letting the silence settle around me. A different kind of silence, one that felt like peace instead of aftermath. For the first time, the house didn't feel haunted. It felt like a beginning. The wedding date that should have been came and went like a regular Saturday. No pang in my chest, no what ifs, no tears. Just silence. The kind of silence that feels earned. I woke up that morning and realized something profound. The grief was gone. The anger dissolved. The disbelief had faded into a distant, almost absurd chapter of my life. For the first time since everything fell apart, I looked in the mirror and saw myself, only myself. Not the version James needed. Not the version I molded myself into for his comfort. Just Ashley with clear eyes and a steady heartbeat. I made coffee, fed the cat, opened in the windows, let the sun warm the furniture he'd never touched. And I didn't think about him. Later that week, I met someone for a casual drink. Nothing serious, nothing defined, just two people talking about their favorite movies and terrible childhood haircuts. I didn't flinch when he asked questions. I didn't panic when he laughed. I didn't apologize for being cautious. I was learning to date without losing myself, learning to trust in measured pieces earned, not given blindly. My friends teased me gently, but I let them. It felt good to be teased. It felt normal. Trust would come back in time, not quickly, not easily, but honestly. A few days later, I received the final letter from my lawyer confirming that all harassment attempts, legal threats, and communications from James's side had ceased. The case file was closed. Nothing pending, no claims left, no loose ends. Silence finally meant peace, not tension. I took stock of everything I'd lost and everything I'd kept. Total financial damage: $22,000 in wedding deposits, $3,000 in home changes, $400 in legal fees, $200 received from selling the ring. Net loss $19,200. A brutal number on paper, but in reality, it was the price of freedom. I would have paid twice that to avoid marrying a man who saw me as a bank account with a heartbeat, a man who cheated freely because he believed he'd never face consequences, a man whose family treated accountability like a personal insult. He didn't value me. He valued what I gave him. The difference was everything. One night, a friend asked me, if you could go back before the cameras, before the footage, would you still want to know the truth? I didn't hesitate. Yes, I said, every time. Because the truth, even when it's devastating, is a doorway. A clean cut instead of a slow rot. And those cameras, they didn't ruin my future. They saved it. A week later, I cleaned out the last drawer in the guest room, the only space I hadn't touched since he left. At the back was a small wooden keepsake box he'd given me on our first anniversary. Inside were old notes, movie stubs, a keychain scribbled promises on cheap paper. I stared at it for a moment, not with nostalgia, with awareness. It was a box of the version of us I wanted to believe in, not the one that existed. I closed it gently and dropped it into the trash. It didn't hurt. It felt like exhaling after holding my breath for months. To mark the moment, I stepped outside onto the porch. The air was cool, the sky a deep velvet blue. Cars passed quietly. Somewhere a dog barked. Life continued without demanding I participate in its chaos. I stood there a long time, letting the night wrap itself around me. The world felt wide again, possible again. I wasn't broken. I was rebuilding with intention this time. And as I stood there, I realized I wasn't looking back anymore.